Okay, so the chaza from Friday. So we didn't know, according to the Rabbanon, who says if you sold Zevez Egarim is mutter, but then we're trying to figure out how you can be nana from an Asherah tree. I'm sorry, no, that was previously. There's wood. If you hold that you're not allowed to get benefit from wood, right, when it goes into the fire, and then the Chacham hold that you are allowed to. Yeah, even when the fire goes straight up into the bread, and the mamash baking the bread straight from the fire that's made from Asherah wood. So then, where do you ever see an Isra enough from Asherah? So the Gemara says it's from a bench, right? Sitting on a wood bench from an Asherah, from a Avodah Zarah would be a way that you're not allowed to get hana from that. Then we said, what about using an oven with kodshim? So even the Rabbanim would be mad that if you use an oven with wood from kodshim, then it would answer the bread. Why? First, we want to say that it's not bottle, right? Then they're going to ask, what about if you're over on meila, which you are if you use kodshim, so then it goes out to chulin. So what should be the problem, right? So then, right? So then we said that what do we give the teretz for? Does everybody remember now? What was the teretz? Let me see. Right, it's talking about where the wood got burned without somebody being over on meila. Right, we saw about that wood just somehow it got on fire, so there was nobody being over on meila, so therefore it didn't go out into chulin. And then the Gemara wants to know where Rabbi Yehuda comes from. Where does Rabbi Yehuda get his din from? That you can be side of chametz, and then we end up slugging up Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, so that's what we left up by the two dots on Chav Ches Amid Aleph. Yeah, but the two dots around 10 lines down, right? 10 lines down. So Rabbi Yehuda said you have to burn the chametz, and the Chachamim say, what?
You just posted Chavav. Chav Ches or Chavav?
Chav Ches.
Chav Ches Amid Aleph. Chav Ches is today's daf.
Chav Ches is today's, yeah.
Why did you post Chav Zayin? You just didn't post Zayin online? Is that what I'm missing?
I posted Chav Zayin Friday, I thought. No? What did I post? I posted Chav Zayin on Friday, I think.
I just saw Chavav. That's what I thought. Too. Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, maybe it was before. Okay. My bad.
No, if I made a mistake, let me know. Yeah, okay, so Rabbi Yehuda said that you burn the chametz. The Chachamim say no, you could either mafar v'zay l'ruach or mata l'yam. You grind it up and you can throw it into the air, or you can put it into the water. Right? So they asked the shayla. Hechi kamer mafar v'zay l'ruach mafar umata l'yam. The way you understand the Mishna is that the Chachamim say you have to grind up the chametz and throw it into the wind. Or dilma mefara b'zayru l'ruah, and then even when you want to put it into the water, you also have to grind it up, or you can just take your challah roll and just dump it into the water. Meaning, when you have to grind it up, that's only if you're letting it go in the air. But if you're putting it into the water, so the water is going to destroy the chametz anyway. So then you just drop it into the water. Or do you have to always? I'm sorry, I explained the second side. The first side is you have to grind it up before you put it into the water too. Or maybe you grind it up and put it into the air. But if you're putting it into the water, you just put it straight into the water. Right? So essentially, before you put it into the water, do you need to grind it up or not? Right, but we have the same shayla by Avodah Zarah. Ki I gave the same shayla. Rabbi Yossi Omer, shaychik v'zayra l'ruach ha'matalim. You take the Avodah Zarah and you either grind it up and you put it into the air, or you put it into the water. V'baylo ne'er shayla. Heichik Omer. What's the case? Shaychik v'zayra l'ruach v'shaychik ha'matalim. Do you grind it up and put it into the air, and grind it up and put it into the water? I don't shaychik v'zayra l'ruach aval matalim be'enei. Or do you say you grind it up and put it into the air, but when you're putting it to the water, you just put it in the way it is. So by Avodah Zarah, you're supposed to put into Yama Melach, salty sea, that memela makes it, decays it, then the stomach doesn't need to be ground up, because when it sits in the salt water for a while, it's going to make it ruined. So why do you have to grind it up? Chametz, the l'sharnar is kazel, but chametz that you could put into the river, by piru, then you would need to grind it up. Right? Because what happens, you put the roll in over here, and then it goes downstream for a little bit, and then it comes on shore, and then somebody takes the roll and decides to eat it, right? Or even if they don't, maybe it just won't be destroyed. So that's what he's saying. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, Adarabba Ifchum Estav, it should be the opposite. Avodah Zarah D'Laim Misa by Shchika. Avodah Zarah, which is usually metal or wood, it's not going to get worn down in the water, so that you should have to grind it up. Right? Chametz tamei, but chametz, which is food, the water makes it bad right away. Like Pira would not need to grind it up. Fine. So Tanya Kava say the rabbit. So that's a machlokes, right? Which way works? Yeah. Meaning, but nobody holds that. No shita holds that both need to be ground up, the avodah zarah and the chametz. It's one or the other. Tanya Kava say the Rabba, Tanya Kava say the Rabbi Yosef. We have a brisa like each one. Tanya Kava say the Rabba. If you're going in the midbar, then you grind it up and put it into the air. If you're going in a boat, then you have to be mefar and put it into the sea. So you see that you do have to grind it up, right? Yeah. So that's talking about chametz. Tanya Kava say the Rabbi Yosef. If you're going in the midbar, then you grind it up, and this is talking about for avodah zarah. You grind it up and put it into the air. If you're going in a boat, then you grind it up and put it into the water. So you have brises to back each one up. Now, but the brisa that backs each one up is a kasha on the other one, right? Shchika kasha l'Rabba, pure kasha l'Rav Yosef. The brisa that said you grind it up is a kasha on Rabba, and the pure is a kasha on Rav Yosef. So shchika l'Rabba lo'kasha. Grinding it up to Rabba is not a kasha. Hol Yam HaMelech, hol Shanaris. One is to the Yam HaMelech, and one is to other rivers. Peter, Rav Yosef, like kasha, and grinding it up according to Rav Yosef is not a kasha. Habechiti habanama. One is talking about wheat, and one is talking about bread.
Isn't there a difference between a river? Isn't there a difference between a river and a yam?
There's a difference between a river and a yam. What do I mean? Yam is salty. That's what you mean?
Yam is specifically Yam HaMelech, or like,
Usually
how many boats are there?
Salty.
How many boats are there in Yam HaMelech?
No, I don't think it means Yam HaMelech necessarily, but Yam HaMelech.
Well, a river. Your example with the river is that the example that you gave was that you put the loaf of bread in the river and it can go down the river and then hit the banks and somebody else can pick it up, right, and eat it.
Right.
If you're in the sea, if you throw something you're at the beach, you throw bread into the sea. That's not happening. It's a lot bigger of a space. The currents are different. I mean, it's very. No.
I'm saying, what's the difference? If it's going to decay the chametz, what's the difference? What type of water it is? If you're going according to that,
I would think a larger body of water is less likely that it's going to come back to. Whereas the river, maybe it has the opportunity to come back.
No, that's true. But the truth is that really doesn't have much. According to the sheet that it holds, you don't have to grind it up. He's not being mechalik whether it's going to come back. He's just
whether it's decaying or not.
Yeah, it's just the water is going to destroy it. The other sheet, you're asking according to the other sheet. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Maybe it's. But the truth is, if you hold that it doesn't make it decay, then the example I said was wrong. Because even if it's sitting in the water, if it's not destroyed, it's still chametz that wasn't destroyed, no? So maybe my example was no good. Okay, so Lamaisa, how do we paskin? Do you have to burn?
Can I ask something?
Sure.
How do we know that these two brises are authored by two different tanoim? Maybe it's the same Tana, it's rather they're the same.
What are you saying?
Maybe the authors of these two brises are the same Tana.
So, and if it is?
There's no difference between avodah zarah and how is it? I don't understand how is it a riot to either one?
What do you mean? One of the brises says that it's you grind it up and put it into the water. One brisa says you don't. Right? One is talking about avodah zarah. One is talking about chametz.
They both say you grind it up.
What?
The difference, they both say you
Oh,
grind
when
it
you're
up.
putting it, when you're being matal to yam.
Shoichik v'zer l'ruach, v'mal t'svina, shoichik v'matal
I'm
l'yam.
sorry, right? I'm sorry. No. You're right. They both say that you grind it up, right? But
Yeah.
that's a kasha. Each one is a kasha to the other mandama.
Only if they're two different tanoim. If they're the same tana, then they're a kasha on both. How do we know they're two different tanoim? Maybe it's the same tana.
I understand.
There
And
is
if
no
it is
difference.
the same, let's say it's the same tana, so what?
So there's no difference between. Then the answer to both questions is you shaychik every time. There'll be a kasha on both amirayim.
Why? If it's the same tana, then it's a kasha to both. I hear. Okay, I don't know, but why should you believe it's the same tana?
Well, why not? We don't know anything about it. It's the exact same lashon. How do you know? How do we know it's one's talking about chametz, one's talking about thing? How do we know anything?
And a chanami, I don't know. I guess the assumption is not. The assumption is it's two different tanaim, but I don't know. You're right. I hear what you're saying. Ich weiß nicht. Okay, well, Lamaisa, how do we paskin? We paskin like Yehuda, you have to burn the chametz, or do we paskin that you can just get rid of it in any way, shape, or form? So Lamaisa, we slugged up Rabbi Yehuda, right? That was Friday's daf. The top of them, we slugged up Rabbi Yehuda. So Me'ikara din we paskin that you can get rid of the chametz by grinding it up. Lamaisa, alta mitzvah, you burn it. So that's, if you can burn it, then you burn it, which there's no reason for the most part why you can't burn it. And also, you're supposed to burn it during the day, meaning we do b'digas chametz erev Pesach by night, right? Why don't we just do sarefas chametz right then and there? What do we got to wait for it, right? So because we want it for the island to remind you the next day to be mavatal it. So if you're burning your chametz, you remember to be mavatal the chametz again. But if you burn it that night, then you don't have that issue, right? But the interesting thing, let's say somebody's traveling to Eretz Yisrael, or somebody's traveling to someplace else for Pesach. So they do b'dikas chametz in their apartment, right? And then they're leaving their house, and then they're leaving. Do they have to schlep their chametz with them? Right? They're taking a late night flight.
You can't give it to someone else to burn for you?
Yeah, they'll make
No,
their
but that-
shliach, no?
And you could make a shliach, but it's mitzvah by yosem b'shlucha. So the ikar din is you can burn it that night. It's the only reason. It's just
More
better
important to go.
burn it
It's more
you
important to
remember.
go away for Pesach.
That's a different shad. We're not going down that road, but right. But you're muted, Rabban.
You'll be able to go to UAE this year for Pesach. It's mamish geschmack.
Yeah, but I don't think you could leave Erev Pesach by night. That, right? Or let's say you're leaving earlier and you're going there, it's Yisrael or whatever it is, and you're doing b'dikas chametz in your house, 2 nights before. You have to schlep the chametz with you, so you don't have to schlep the chametz with you, but it'd be better. Now, what about flushing it down the toilet? Is flushing it down the toilet considered burning, or is flushing it down the toilet considered mefar b'zoy l'ruach? Meaning, what is burning? Now we can talk deep philosophy. What is burning? Right? Is burning making it, you yourself making it not edible? Or is it shot that burning is you should burn it with fire? Right? So that's a machlokes. Some places can say that putting into the toilet is like burning. It's become instantly inedible, and that's it. Others say, and others say that no, Chazon Ish says no, that's not. Because the dog or whatever might eat it, so it's not called being destroyed. Another
Is there a hinder
nafkamina.
mitzvah in leaving it there until someone uses the toilet?
I don't know. I don't know. Right? That's one. Two is what about, can you put lighter fluid on your chametz when you're burning it? Right? Is lighter fluid making it not edible, but that's not burning? Or is the pshat that you just make it not edible? So the Machmirim say not to put lighter fluid on it. Right? Now, what about achila? Is eating it considered destroying it? Is that burning it, or is that like matal ruach or putting it to the yam? That the poskim say eating it is considered like burning. That's like considered destroying on the level of burning, right? So that's that. And then there's one interesting chumrah that is there a point, let's say you do the sreifas chametz early because you want to get it out of the way. Like you have the people that just want to get it. And then after that, they go eat a bagel. Like l'chayra sreifas chametz should be the last chametz that you're getting rid of. Right? What's the kunz of burning chametz? If I burn chametz tonight, let's say I make a campfire and I burn my challah, I get a mitzvah sreifas chametz. I'm eating tons of chametz between now and Pesach. So why does that make a difference on Erev Pesach too? So you burned your chametz in the morning, then you decide to go eat a bagel, right? So many say that that's not the right thing to do. Your last chametz in your possession, Erev Pesach, should be burned if you want to do it properly. Like this, you're burning your last mamashas of chametz, right?
So Yaakov, the years I still worked in the city, so I didn't do Sreifas chametz. My wife did it later with the kids because what was I going to burn the chametz 7 in the morning? I went and then she was going to be eating with the kids till 10 o'clock. I didn't burn the chametz. She burned it with the kids. I didn't burn it. I mean, the last 25 years I'm doing it, but before that I didn't. She did it.
I'm doing the mechiras chametz in Brooklyn. I never burn the chametz. Sometimes I bring it with me and burn it in Brooklyn, or sometimes I have the kids, whatever it is. But that's.
It could be if someone's errant about holding like the gra, making havdalah after Pesach on beer, then it could be that streifa before I finish eating is also okay. The reason he says to make havdalah on beer is chavivas mitzvah of matza. So if I eat Erev Pesach as chavivas mitzvah of matza, then it could be the streifa could be first. The only reason I'm eating the chametz is chavivas mitzvah.
Right.
But the mitzvah of streifas chametz, it could be I could do before.
I hear. Okay, fine.
But only if you're ernst.
Well, Gershon, I'm a raya fakert.
Why?
Because I make avdallah on the beer matzi pesach, but I let my comments from my wife. So you see, I'm a raya fakert.
That doesn't make you a raya fakir.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so let's evaluate. Yes, it's up to Mishna. All right. So this is a major Mishnah, and it's not complicated. It gets a little technical with all the shittas here. Yeah. So Zok the Mishnah. Chametz shall nachrish aval of a Pesach. A goys chametz after Pesach. Mutter bahana. It's mutter bahana. Yeah. Now, if you stop right there, mutter bahana sounds like mutter bahana asa ba'achila. Right? If you go with that shita, where are we buying chametz after Pesach? Right? That would be a tough one. Yeah, so again, so chametz nachish aval Pesach mutter bahana, it's mutter bahana. V'shal Yisrael, we'll see in the Gemara though. V'shal Yisrael, but the yids asa bahana shenemer lo yira l'chasar. You shouldn't see chametz. And we're going to see in the Gemara exactly where do you learn out from that passuk. But again, a yid's chametz after Pesach, if he didn't burn, he didn't burn it. But again, this is talking about pre-mechira. There's no such thing as mechira. That's what we have to remember. There's no mechira's chametz that we're talking about. A guy just had chametz over Pesach, right? So we're going to have to see if this is talking about even if he was mavatal the chametz or not, right? Because if he was mavatal the chametz, so then why should his chametz be osir? He was mavatal it. He got rid of it.
But it's a guy. Why is this even a question?
No, we're talking about the yid part. No, the reisha is the guy, safe is the yid, right? The reisha, we have a kasha.
Sorry.
So we have a kasha on the reisha. We have a kasha on the reisha that sounds like that a goys is osir ba'achila. It's mutar ba'ana, but osir ba'achila. And the seifa is saying that a yid is even osir ba'hana. So we're just not gonna. We have to figure out if it's so much if he was mavatal it or not. Because l'chayra, when you mavatal your chametz, that means you're getting rid of all your chametz that didn't belong to you. So that's chametz shel hefker. It's not chametz of a yid. Okay, so we'll have to see that. So there's exactly one. Money mastisen. Who's the tan of the Mishnah? Loy Reb Yehuda, v'loy Reb Shimon, v'loy Reb Yosei Glili. It's not Reb Yehuda, it's not Reb Shimon, and it's not Reb Yosei Glili. Ma'hi. So what's the pshat? What are we talking about? The Tanya, we have a brisa. So there's some interesting. The reason I find this Gemara a little difficult because it's just ingrained in your head that chametz is always asa from chatzos erev pesach. It's asa, but we're going to see from these tanoim that it's not so simple at all, right? So chametz bein lifnei zmanei, bein la'achar zmanei, whether it's before the time, or whether it's after the time. Now, before the time doesn't mean obviously the whole year. It means before Pesach, the meaning from chatzos. From chatzos erev Pesach, bein lifnei zmanei, bein la'achar zmanei, over Allah belav, you're over on a lav. Toich zmanei, during Pesach, over Allah belav v'koros. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, right? So again, Rabbi Yehuda says there's two different zmanim of isurim. There's from chatzos erev Pesach until Pesach. Then if you eat chametz or you have chametz, then you're over on a lav. From Pesach, shkia on Pesach for the next 8 days. If you eat chametz, you're over on a lav and a chi of koros. And then chametz after Pesach, you're over on a lav. That's Rabbi Yehuda's shita. Right? Next, on Talmud Beis. Reb Shimon Omer. Reb Shimon says, chametz lifnei zmani ulachas zmani eino over lav b'loi klum. Reb Shimon says, chametz before the zman and after the zman, you're not over on anything. Meaning from chatzos till Pesach and after Pesach, you're over on nothing. Tois zmani during Pesach, over a lav b'koros ubelav. But during Pesach, you're over on koros and a lav. Umishasha aser be'achila, aser ba'ana. And when you're aser to eat it, then you're also aser ba'ana. Right? So then what does that mean? Asan l'tana kama. That's going according to, that's really, that line of the brisa is really going according to Rabbi Yehuda. That once it's aser ba'achila, it's also aser ba'ana. Fine. That's shita number 2. Right, we had this shita before. Yosef Glili is the most makel. He says it's a wonder on himself. Hey, chametz aser b'hana kol shiva. How could chametz be aser b'hana all 7 days? Right? So that's Rabbi Yossi saying, no way. This chametz is not aser b'hana. Chametz is only aser b'achila. Be wonderful. We paskin like Rabbi Yosef Glili, but obviously we don't paskin like Rabbi Yosef Glili, right? And chametz is also aser b'hana.
What does he mean by how could it be? What do you mean? How could it be? What do you mean?
Well,
Hey, chametz.
We're going to see.
So what's so different?
No, he's from the pesukim. We're going to dash in the pesukim now. He's saying, hey, how is it that you even say this? Right? Okay. So let's see. According to Rabbi Yehuda, how do you even know that you're over on a loisaseh from Sheishos, from chatzos and on? Shenemar loisaychal alav chametz. You shouldn't eat chametz on it. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So I'm Rabbi Shimon. Can you say this? It says don't eat chametz and eat matza for 7 days. Right? So meaning it sounds like the two are connected. The isser of eating chametz only applies when you have the mitzvah of eating matza. Erev Pesach, there's no mitzvah to eat matzah. Anything, it's an isser to eat matzah on Erev Pesach, right? So he's saying the pasuk. So now we have 2 pesukim. One says lo soichal alav chametz. Fine. Rabbi Yehuda says that means from Erev Pesach. Rabbi Shimon says, how can you say it means from Erev Pesach if a different pasuk says that you don't eat chametz? And when don't you eat chametz? When you eat matzah. So Imkain. So then the Gemara says, okay. If that's the case, Imkain matam alam la soichal alav chametz. Don't eat chametz. B'shasha yeshna b'kum echal matzah yeshna b'bal teichel chametz. When you're in the time that you're supposed to eat matzah, that's when you don't eat chametz. And when you're not supposed to eat matzah, meaning from chatzos and on, then you're not in the isser of eating chametz. So that's what Reb Shimon holds, and that's what Reb Shimon holds. And Rabbi Yehuda, what's he going to do? My time is Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that chametz is you over on a lav before Pesach and after Pesach, and a lav in koros in the middle of Pesach? My time is Rabbi Yehuda. Tlasa kraik sivi. He says no. There's 3 pesukim. It says lo yoichel chametz. That's 1. Don't eat chametz. Number 2 is v'chol machmetzes lo yichelu. Don't eat chametz. Anything that becomes chametz. And lo yichel alav chametz is the 3rd. Don't eat chametz on it. Chad lefnei zmanai. One is coming to tell you before the zman from chatzos. Echad la'achar zmanai. One is coming to tell you after the zman. V'chad l'soich zmanai. One's telling you during the zman. So that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Now, what is Rabbi Shimon going to do with all these opinions? these pesukim. Reb Shimon chad l'soich zmanoi. One's coming to tell you that you're over on a lab during this man. V'chol machmetzes. And what are we going to do with chol machmetzes? Mibayle look at the Tanya. Ainli elashenes chametz me'elav. This only tells you that it became chametz by itself. Machmas davar acham minayin. How do you know that it becomes chametz from something else? Meaning, if it became chametz, it became chametz through adding what do you call it? What makes chametz? Yeast, right? Meaning, if the thing becomes chametz itself, the flour and water, okay. But what happens if I add a starter to it? So that will make it chametz. How do you know that that's also chametz? So that's what it means.
On Pesach, or this is Erev Pesach?
Either way, if you have that chametz on Pesach, if it was created, if the chametz became chametz from something else, and you have it on Pesach, then because he doesn't ask it before Pesach, then you have it on Pesach, then you're going to be over on the lab. And okay, then what does he do with the third passuk? Now Rabbi Yosef Glili says, now this is not the same, it's the same Rabbi Yosef Glili, but not the same shita. How do we know that Pesach and Mitzrayim was only one day? You only were not allowed to have chametz for one day. It says that you should not eat chametz. Today they go out. So we're making a hekesh. I don't know. It's a that I don't know if it's a hekesh. It's a smichas pesukim, right? That in Mitzrayim they only had to keep Pesach for one day. It's a good maror because it comes up. I know some vertelach by the Seder quote this Gemara that in Mitzrayim they only kept Pesach one day, so it comes up in a lot of different vertelach. So if you're a vertelach guy, remember this Gemara for the Sedarim Bez Hashem, right? Fine. So that's what. So again, Rabbi Yehuda says there's 3 pesukim that says don't eat chametz. He says one is for before Pesach, one is for on Pesach, one is for after Pesach. Reb Shimon says no. One is talking about for during Pesach, and one is telling you that even if the thing became chametz from something else, and one is coming to tell you, that Pesach and Mitzrayim was only one day. Okay, so how does Rabbi Yehuda going to know all this? Rabbi Yehuda, machmas davar achar minalei. How does he know that even if it becomes chametz with something else? From the lush, the Torah uses a lashon of machmetzes, right? So therefore, that's something that makes it, right? Something, it didn't become chametz itself. Something was machmetzit. Rabbi Yosef Glili minalei. How does he know the din Rabbi Yosef Glili that Pesach and Mitzrayim was only one day? Either because it has the word hayom next to it, or he disagrees with Rabbi Yosef Glili and he doesn't darshan smuchim. He doesn't darshan pesukim that are next to each other. So therefore, he's going to hold that Pesach and Mitzrayim was 7 days, not one day, like Rabbi Yosef Glili learns. Fine. So that's how we know. That's the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon. Fine. Now, Omar Mar, right? So Rabbi Yehuda said, how do you know that chametz from 6 hours and on you over on Allah? That you can't eat on chametz. You can't eat chametz on a different Rabbi Yehuda. Omar Reb Shimon, can you say this? Right? It says don't eat chametz and when you're supposed to eat matza, right? So the Gemara says, "Rabbi Yehuda shaper kamalei Reb Shimon." Reb Shimon says a good taina to you, right? The passuk seems to say that the only time that there's an issur to eat chametz is when there's a mitzvah to eat matzah, right? Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lach. So what's Rabbi Yehuda going to answer? No, that's coming to tell you that you have a chiyuv to eat matzah even bisman hazeh when there's no korban pesach. Right, not the passuk comparing is telling you nowadays when unfortunately we don't have the Pesach, the current Pesach, all we have is the issur not to have chametz. Therefore, the Torah is telling you the two are not connected, and when you're not allowed to eat chametz, which we have regardless of whether we have a Beis Hamikdash, then you I'm sorry, the other way around. When you have the mitzvah matzah, which is regardless of whether you have a Beis Hamikdash, then you're going to automatically have the chiyuv of not having chametz. And yeah, that's how he's learning out why the Torah compares loisav chametz to matzah. Reb Shimon, and what about Reb Shimon? How does Reb Shimon know that you have a chiyuv to eat matzah even when there's no korban pesach? He learns it out from be'erev toichlu, right? Which seems to be extra pasuk, because you don't really need be'erev toichlu matzahs, because we already said you don't need matzahs. So what's the extra pasuk coming to tell you? So to tell you that you have to eat matzahs regardless of whether there's a korban pesach. And what about Rabbi Yehuda? What's he going to do with that? Rabbi Yehuda, he's coming to tell you that somebody's tamei, right, or who was far away and he couldn't get to yerushalyim, right? That meaning, so that tamei and they can't get to yerushalyim. Do they have to eat matzah and they have to keep chametz? So since they can't eat the korban pesach because they're tamei or they're far away from yerushalyim, so you would think, okay, so they don't even need to eat matzah or maror either. Kamash Malam, we're telling you, no, they have to. Meaning, don't think that even though the guy's going to have to come to Yerushalayim Pesach Sheni, so don't think that he doesn't have to do matzah on Pesach Rishon. He does have to. That's what Rabbi Yehuda is learning it from. Reb Shimon,
According to Rabbi Yehuda,
what he's saying?
According to Rabbi Yehuda, our achilas maror today is deraisa or derabbanan?
According to Rabbi Yehuda,
he just used the passuk to tell us that if you're not eating the korban pesach, you still have to eat matzah and maror. He didn't say just matzah.
yeah, but I think that's just. And Reb Shimon is also going to have to say that too, no?
Why?
You're going to still need to eat
maror.
maror.
To include maror. You have to eat matzah. You don't have to eat maror. Why do you have to eat maror?
The assumption is that you'd have to eat maror. That's what I think.
Why? If the whole mitzvah is to eat maror with korban pesach, why am I putting it in here?
I think that's the way of talking. But you're saying you want to learn that it's Dafka Rabbi Yehuda saying, and Reb Shimon would say no maror.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If he would have been in,
I hear.
If he would have been in my shir, I would have told. Yeah. If he would have been in my shir, I would have told him come back in about 10 days and I'll give you the answer, because I believe the Gemara is discussing it. I'm not sure it's 10 or that, but the Gemara is discussing that topic.
Well, it's really in R Yehuda Pesachim, the Gemara, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if
Yes,
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know if it's discussed.
He mentions it in a footnote here. He mentions it from the Chedushay Haran in a footnote.
That what?
The Gemara's mention of the bitter herbs in this discussion is imprecise. For one who does not eat the Pesach offering is in fact not biblically obligated to eat bitter herbs either. It is mentioned here only because matzah and bitter herbs are commonly mentioned together, and the Gemara borrowed the common expression. The reference to a biblical obligation, however, applies to matzah only.
Ah, very good, Gershon. There you go. That's okay. He's looking up the Ran. I see him flipping the papers. He doesn't trust the art scroll. He's checking up the Ran. Okay, that's smart. Very good. Okay, so anyways, Reb Shimon, Tamei v'shai b'derech chayka loy itzdur kra. Reb Shimon, for a Tamei and shai b'derech chayka, you don't need a passuk. The loy garame oral uben necher. It's not worse than an oral, somebody who never had a bris. Uben necher.
Yaakov, the Rashi over here.
Yeah.
The Rashi by Derech Rechaika. Rashi says, "Sha'afal pi she'ein oisa pesach chayav b'achilas matzah." He doesn't say maror, just says matzah. Rashi.
Ah, that's a good diak. Very good. Right? But that's 1 second. Who's he going in? Reb Shimon or Reb Yehuda? L'chayra, that's going in Reb Shimon.
Yeah, it's going with Reb Shimon, that Rashi, I think. But
hear.
Shmuel,
Okay, so then it's
Shmuel
not
was
a raya
showing off, and
necessarily.
Shmuel David was showing off from the arch, so I figured I would show off also. Even though I learned, I didn't think the Rashi was right. Was
Very
again,
good.
I figured I would say it also.
Very good. It's all good. It's all good. Anyways, okay, weiter. So how does Reb Shimon doesn't need a pasuk? The loigan my oral ben necher. It's no different than somebody who never had a bris or a ben necher. Right now, what's a ben necher? Let's just finish with the sivachol oral loyochabai. Right, an oral can't eat the korban pesach. Boyhu ein oichel aval oichel hu b'matzu maror. Granted, an oral or a ben necher is not allowed to eat the korban pesach, but he does have to eat the matzah and the maror. Here the Gemara goes back to matzah and maror, right? And this is Reb Shimon, right? Reb Yehuda ksib b'hai. Reb Yehuda says no. It's referred to by both, right? Meaning it's once it says it by one, it says it by one. Yeah, fine. So now, what is a ben necher? That's not a nochri, right? We already know that for sure a nochri is not mechuyev, not a matzah, not a maror. So Rashi, interesting Rashi. Rashi says ben necher misha nisnaku maisav la'aviv sh'ashamayim v'loy l'chol ha'torah. Because of Marashach. If the guy goes off the derech, so what's he eating? What's he eating matzah? What does he care? Right? So it must be that the guy went off the derech, but not the kol Torah. He's only a mummer. Rashi's learning it that it's only a mummer for some things and not for others. Right?
The Seder is the most kept holiday of all the holidays by Yidden. It's more than Yom Kippur, more than any. The Seder is kept more than anything else that people do a whole year.
Oh, so maybe
a version of the Seder.
So you're saying Rashi, it was like that in Rashi's days too, is what you're saying.
Maybe, yeah.
Right? So Tosfos says Tema, the second Tosfos on the bottom, and now we're finished on so we can go with a little bit extended. But Tosfos says Tema, Gabi ben necher shu mummer. He's a amai itzrukra pshita shechayiv lecho matza. The chayiv b'chol mitzvahs amuras b'tayro. I mean, just because the guy is rebellious or whatever you want to call him, so we need a pasuk to say that he's. Why do you need a pasuk to say that this guy's chayiv in mitzvahs? Everybody's chayiv in mitzvahs, right? Just because you don't keep some of the mitzvahs means that we need a special pasuk to say that you're chayiv, right? So you want to say. Okay, then maybe you would think, okay, so he's not eating, he's also to eat the pesach, right? Because he's a ben necher, right? So he's like a mummer or whatever it is, right? So then it's also pashut that what is the atu matzah kedusha is? Is there any sort of kedusha to matzah? So Tosfos says interesting pshat. Yerushalyim. When he was a mummer, that's when the korban pesach was shechted. So he couldn't be part of it. But also tshuva, and then he became about tshuva. From after the korban pesach was shechted, before it came time to eat the korban pesach, he became about tshuva. Since he could not be counted, right? You have to be part of a chabura in order to be part of to eat the korban pesach.
So he would do pesach sheni.
He
would do the korban on pesach sheni.
I'm not sure because it could be it's only for the tamei. It's for ben necher pesach sheni also. I'm not sure. But pshat is here that he's not part of this korban pesach, right? Because now he became about tshuva. So still, he still has to eat matzah maror. So even though he's not yids a korban pesach, but still he has to eat matzah maror. That's the case, right? Does Tosfos disagree with the Rashi? Chayra, it sounds like Tosfos is disagreeing with Rashi. Rashi says we need a passuk to tell you that somebody who's a mummer still is mechuyev to eat matzah. Tosfos is saying, no, you don't need a pasuk to tell you that. Just because he's a mummer doesn't mean matzah is an independent mitzvah. Clearly, right? That's what the Gemara is saying. Matzah and maror is an independent mitzvah having nothing to do with the korban pesach. So why shouldn't he be mechuyev to eat it? So that's why Tosfos comes up to say that it's talking about where he was a mummer when it was shechted, and when it wasn't shechted, then not. Right?
Could be Rashi was a shtickle more Hasidish than Tosfos.
Why are you saying that?
Rashi held matzah has a little bit of kedusha. I mean, if I would have said Tosfos' line, if it would have been me that said Tosfos' line, the Atu matzah kedusha,
everybody would have jumped.
The Aaron would have jumped on me. What are you, Kalta Litvak?
Yeah.
No, Rashi's Eilich did tshuva. Rashi fell off the derech, became a Chassidish. The Eilich did tshuva.
There you go, exactly. And matzah has kedusha too.
And the truth is, I have to remember this. I have to remember this Tosfos, because Lamaisa, the Atu Matzah Kedusha, does it have Kedusha? Right? I hear, you're right. Tosfos is very clear that there's no Kedusha. Right?
He wasn't from the Kedushas Levi's people that when they pick up the matzahs Erev Pesach before the Seder, they kiss them before they put them on the thing.
Right. So I don't know if that means it has Kedusha. That's just for the chavivas of the mitzvah.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, anyways, so basically we have a three-way Machlokes. So let's just do the next few lines just because
well, it depends how you read the words in the Tosfos Gershon. It's either a question mark or an exclamation point. Kedusha's is bang. Matzah Kedusha is bang.
Yeah, but then you've answered the question. You don't need the yerushalyim.
Yeah. I hear. Okay. Anyway, so let's just do the next couple of lines. So Gemara says, "Mani mas nisim." So now, Lamaisa, our Mishna says that a yids chametz is aser b'hana after Pesach. Right? Who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda, chametz stomach afilu denachri. Right? If it's Rabbi Yehuda, he says every chametz. He says chametz is aser after Pesach, and he doesn't specify that it's only a yids. It sounds like even a goys, according to Rabbi Yehuda, chametz is aser. Be Reb Shimon, and if it's Reb Shimon, the Yisrael nami mishur kashari. According to Reb Shimon, Yisrael's chametz is mutar after Pesach. He says the lav is only for on Pesach itself. Even during Pesach, Rabbi Yosef Glili holds the chametz is mutar. Right? So the Maisa, we don't have anybody who to pin this Mishnah on that the yids chametz is aser b'hana after Pesach. Okay, so we can continue this tomorrow, B'ez Hashem. I might have to do the daf a little earlier tomorrow. I'll put it out on the chat. Could be I'll have to do it at 8 o'clock. I hope that's okay.
Before you leave,
or not. But yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead, Reb Shmuel. What do you want to say?
Before you leave, Ander pointed a very interesting point. Is that a question mark or a exclamation point? The way to learn the Tosfos is with a question mark, which is Afal gav de asur bepesach hana mipshita de atu matza kedusha idbei.
Right, the l'chayr, it's a question, right?
Yeah, that's how Yaakov's learning it, backed up by Gershon. Yeah.
And now I'm back to Reb Shmuel Grossman. So then I'm that.
Shmuel, where you been?
That's what I asked. The same question.
He's his Matza Shabbos. He's the Matza Shabbos.
Preparing for tomorrow. That's where he's been. He's always preparing for tomorrow.
Shmuel, it's
Where did he hang up?
Where you been?
Did he hang?
No, I'm
He
here.
hung up?
I miss you.
Oh, you're there.
I'm here.
Oh, I enjoy listening to
I
your
miss you,
voice.
Shmuel. Two Magidi Shurim zusammen.
Nice to hear
How
it.
could it get better?
Yeah, Gavada.
It's always a pleasure.
My mother's
to listen to my Rabbi Rav Stein.
My mother enjoys hearing your voice, she said. She's sitting over here. Anyway, so yeah, the pashtus is that it's a question, right? It's a question. The Torah is the same. But it's also mashma that mummer. It's taka. I forgot. This is the week of mumrim taka. It's in Yonah de Yoma, right? It's kratzmach. It's kratzmach this week, right? So a mummer. It sounds like what? Tosfos is entertaining that anything having to do with kedusha, a mummer can't be part of. Right? Meaning, what's a pshat? A mummer can't do a korban pesach. Right? What's pshat? A mummer can't do a korban pesach because.
But the korban pesach has a kedushas korban in it.
Korban
the
pesach.
korban pesach, there's the kedusha of the korban, so to speak.
That's
Right.
what he's saying. That's why he can't eat it.
No, but then it wouldn't apply to other mitzvahs, just
But
korbanos.
that is in the korban pesach, but not in the matzah. There's no kedusha in there.
I'm saying is that,
That's kasha.
no, but saying, well, what? It's not meaning. The point is that it's not. It doesn't seem that we're learning that it's exeris hakosuv, that a ben necher, a mummer can't be part of korban pesach because that's what the passuk says. So the Tosfos is learning it's pshat is because of
That's what this is learning from this passuk.
something that has kedusha,
Yeah.
right? And matzah doesn't have kedusha. So only a mummer is only exempt from things that have kedusha. Yeah, I hear. Okay, very good.
Oh,
All right, a good talk, everybody.
Good
We gotta
talk.
get off before all the ladies start logging in here.
I get to
What time is that start, Tiago?
What the 9:15? 9:15.
Are you gonna post
Elio,
what
I
time
need
you're
your
saying
mother's name.
tomorrow?
You gotta text me your mother's name. What do you say?
I'll text you.
Are you gonna post what time you're saying tomorrow's shir if it's early?
Yeah, I'll post it. If anything, it'll be 8 o'clock. It won't be before 8 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
The 8 o'clock
I
will
was
be.
thinking it could be that Tosfos is the end of that kasher Tosfos is an exclamation point. That Tosfos is asking that
Now that
Aaron
Aaron
has to
Horowitz
eat
logged, now
matzah.
that they logged off, you're saying
Oh,
this?
he left.
Yeah.
Now that since there is kedusha, he's mechuyev to eat it. We need to give him more kedusha. He's a
What?
mummer. You need to give him kedusha. Bakerti b'dafka should eat matzah.
What was that?
You have to try. Now you're really saying Chassidus Shabbat. I don't know what's going on to you in Cleveland.
I didn't want to say the Tosfos was such a cultural litzvah, so maybe you can touch it that way.
I don't know what I don't know what they're feeding you over there in Cleveland.
All right, Yashikaya.
All right, good to go.
So can I just keep staying logged in?
What?
Can I just keep logged in for my wife?
No,
You
I'm going
can. I
to
don't know
throw
why
you
you
off
want to.
in 1 minute. I got to see if the settings change.
All right, fine, bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.